Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something that affects all of us, but in a way you might not expect. We're talking about AI and the idea that the very word we use for it, artificial, might actually be a dangerous trap.
So let's just dive right in. Is our name for AI a trap? It's a huge question, and it really gets to the heart of a major contradiction in how we see this technology and how it's showing up in our daily lives.
I mean, think about it. On one hand, you've got these tools we use every day, right? Fun, creative stuff like ChatGPT or Leonardo for making images. They feel pretty harmless. But then you've got the other side of the coin. AI systems that are making incredibly high-stakes decisions, things like predictive policing or even helping decide who gets parole. That's literally life and death stuff.
So how do we make sense of this disconnect? Well, to really get it, we need to become linguistic detectives for a minute. We have to go way back and look at the history of the word artificial itself. It all starts here with the Latin word artificium. See, it's made up of two parts, ars, which means art, craft, or skill, and facere, which means to make. So way back when, artificial just meant made with skill. It was actually a positive thing, a compliment to human craftsmanship and ingenuity. Okay, so if it used to mean something skillfully made, what happened? How on earth did we get from that positive idea to what we think of today? Well, as it turns out, history completely changed its definition. The big turning point? The Industrial Revolution. All of a sudden, you had this huge split. Things made by hand were seen as authentic, the real deal, but things that were mass-produced by machines, they got slapped with the label artificial. And with that label came all these new ideas that it was inauthentic and eventually just plain fake.
And this is where it gets really important for us today. That historical baggage, that shift in meaning, it didn't just disappear. It's created this powerful, almost invisible bias that's baked into our language, and it affects how every single one of us thinks about artificial intelligence.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. When you hear the word artificial today, like artificial flavors or artificial flowers, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's all this negative stuff, isn't it? Fakeness, deception, the sense that it's inferior, that it's not the real thing. What's wild is how different this is from how the pioneers of AI actually talked about it. This quote is from their original proposal back in 1956. Look at the word they used, simulate. They didn't say make a fake intelligence. They saw it as a simulation of intelligence, a precise creation that was a testament to human skill. It's actually much closer to that original Latin meaning, isn't it? And this is where our modern brains start to short circuit. If we're all walking around with this built-in bias that artificial means inferior or fake, then how do you explain an AI beating the world's best human player at Go? I mean, Go is one of the most complex, creative, intuitive games ever invented. It just doesn't add up. And that brings us to the crucial point. The argument is that the word itself has tricked us. That subconscious bias we carry around, the one born in the Industrial Revolution, it primes us to constantly underestimate what this technology can actually do. Of all the negative baggage that comes with the word, this one right here is probably the most harmful of all. Unreal. This is the very heart of the trap. Because if we think AI is somehow not really real, we completely fail to see its very real dangers and its very real impact on our world. So we've talked about perception. Let's switch gears and talk about reality. Because while our language might make AI feel distant or unreal, the consequences are anything but. They're incredibly tangible and, frankly, sometimes really severe. For a lot of people, the impact is already here. We're talking about real jobs, real livelihoods gone. Automation, which is powered by these systems we call artificial, has led to very real economic pain for a lot of families. But the consequences get even more serious. Right now, decisions assisted by algorithms are being used in courtrooms for things like parole hearings and sentencing. We're talking about real people whose actual freedom is on the line. These aren't some unreal outcomes. They are completely life-altering. And in the most tragic cases, the consequences are absolutely irreversible. This is where the disconnect between our perception of this technology as fake and its real-world impact can become fatal. This right here, this was the final, heartbreaking conversation a 14-year-old boy named Sewell Setzer III had with a chatbot before he took his own life. The bot's response, as you can see, shows a catastrophic failure to understand a real human crisis. The consequences of this so-called unreal intelligence were devastatingly, horribly real. So you can see this enormous gap, this chasm between our perception shaped by the word artificial, and a tangible, sometimes tragic reality. The term just isn't cutting it anymore. It gives us a false sense of security. So, if the word is broken, what's the alternative?
We've seen just how deep this terminology trap can be, leading us to downplay the power and the real-world impact of this technology. The author whose work we're exploring suggests we need a completely new term to help us escape this trap: Kitschian intelligence. Now, what in the world does that mean? Well, to find out how that might change everything, you'll have to join us for the next part of this explainer.